All right, folks, Yishai Fleischer here. There's a guy named Yuval Noah Harari. He's a professor at the Hebrew University in Israel. He's an Israeli left-leaning intellectual. He believes that the Jewish people are occupying so-called Palestinian lands. He thinks that Netanyahu is too violent. And generally, he's on the Israeli left. Suffice it to say, his opinions are not ones that I share. Recently, he did an interview with Ezra Klein and put out a video in the New York Times. And there's a segment that they put out. Somebody sent it to me and said, wow, this is the smartest thing that Yuval Noah Harari has ever said. And I watched it and I was flabbergasted at the not so smart thing that came out of his mouth. I think actually quite silly. Let's watch it together and analyze.
You said what is happening right now in Israel could basically destroy or void 2,000 years of Jewish thinking and culture and existence, that's the worst case scenario. What did you mean by that?
So Yuval Noah Harari is describing some kind of destruction of Israel. Why?
You know, when the Roman legions of Vespasian destroyed Jerusalem in 70 CE, and you have Yochanan ben Zakkai asking Vespasian as a favor, grant me a small town called Yavne, where he wants to establish a center of learning. And Vespasian agrees, okay, you Jews, you can have your center of learning. And this was the essence of being Jewish. And a lot of the thinking about what does it mean to have freedom of thought, what does it mean to be a powerless minority, was done by Jewish thinkers.
Okay, so Vespasian is about to destroy the Second Temple, and Yochanan ben Zakkai, one of the leading rabbis, sneaks out of the old city and speaks to Vespasian, and he says to him, you know, grant me this town of Yavne and its wise men, its yeshiva. Let me establish a yeshiva there. This is a reaction to the destruction of Jewish sovereignty, the disembodiment of the Jewish people as a polity in the land of Israel. Jerusalem is destroyed. So comes this rabbi and he says, listen, let's save a remnant. Let me have this yeshiva. Let me have this town. And it was a way to rescue whatever was left. It was a remnant. It was, we call she'erita pleita, like the last bit that was able to survive. And here comes Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he's, in a sense, packing up Jewish wisdom and getting it ready to go into 2,000 years of exile. But Yuval Noah Harari thinks that this disembodied, disenfranchised mode of the Jewish people is the victory. He thinks that's what it is. He thinks that when Yochanan ben Zakkai is asking to keep Yavne, then that is what we call in Hebrew lechatchila. That's like the first option. That's the best option. He doesn't recognize that this was the last option, the white flag, the surrender, and the kind of a way to survive the destruction as a way to not have our nationality totally destroyed. He thinks that this is the best way possible, that Israel should be this broken minority that's very studious, that's very exilic, that's very academic, that's very bookish. He thinks that that's the actual best option for the Jewish people moving forward. Check this out.
For 2,000 years, Jews all over the world, they see studying and learning as the highest spiritual activity. And after 2,000 years, you have learned, you've studied for 2,000 years. What have you learned? And then people like Netanyahu tell you, oh, we've learned that you need to be a Roman, that you need to be strong, that you need to build legions, that you need to destroy cities. This is the only thing. This is the only thing that matters in life. After 2,000 years, the Jews simply become the Romans. What was the point?
So the point was, I laugh because of the incredible addiction to exilic life that Yuval Noah Harari exhibits. He thinks that Yochanan ben Zakkai's option was like the best thing for us, like destroy our temple, destroy our capital, disembody us. We don't have a state anymore. We don't have an army anymore because we're defeated. But this is the best way possible. And comes, in his opinion, Netanyahu and says, and basically Zionism, right? Because it's not Netanyahu. The idea of Zionism was return to that pre-destroyed way of life, that capital in Jerusalem, the having a useful army, the having an economy, having our own language, not living as guests in other people's lands, destroying enemies who would try to destroy us, push back against the would-be Nazis or the would-be Romans of our time. Becomes Yuval Noah Harari, and his whole thing is like, oh no, now that we're strong, we're the Romans. He's embarrassed by Jewish strength. He can't deal with Jewish strength. His preferred position, his preferred posture is a tiny minority, a little Jiminy Cricket, wise minority that's able to give advice to big powers, truth to power, and at the same time stay in the ghetto, stay in exile, and not be a power, not be a strong economy, not have a strong military, because that in his mind is Roman. He doesn't understand that Yochanan ben Zakkai option was like, that's the consolation prize. That's the survival. Okay, and Yochanan ben Zakkai did great that he saved the Jewish people, although there were rabbis who were against his posture. But the point is that, yes, we yearned for re-embodiment. We yearned for sovereignty. We yearned for a temple before Roman destruction. That this guy loves, he's addicted to. He's addicted to Jewish weakness. He's addicted to Jewish weakness. He's addicted to feeling, that he shouldn't have a body. That's why he thinks that this land, this Jewish land that was evicted, Jews were evicted by the Romans, he now thinks it belongs to the Palestinians. He loves weakness. He thrives in weakness. He himself is a bookish academic. He doesn't want Jewish strength. He wants Jewish weakness. That's where he's comfortable in. And he doesn't want it to be a period of the Third Temple. He doesn't really want Zionism either. He'd be much happier if this was either a Palestine or a Turkey or even in England, where he could exist exactly in his, what we call in Yiddish, nebbish, like, we're a little weak Jew. Look at me, I'm a weak Jew, and I'm proud of it. I don't want strength. I don't know how to deal with strength. That's exactly the posture that he's looking for in this life. So when my friend sent me this and he said, this is so smart, there's nothing smart about this. It's just addiction to weakness. He's telling you that. He's like, oh, Netanyahu thinks that we're Romans. And what was the point of that? Yeah, the point of that was to overcome the Romans and to defeat them 2,000 years later. And not to be a weenie Jew. Yuval Noah Harari, I'm not going to call him a weenie Jew, but I am going to say that he certainly stands up for the principles of exilic Jew and cannot deal with Jewish power. Here at Yishai Fleischer TV, we can deal with Jewish power, and we can deal with whatever God throws our way, and he's brought us back to the heartland of the Holy Land and to rebuild Jerusalem. You can be part of that building, buildisrael.com. That's right, join me at buildisrael.com or buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. Your help makes a big difference in strength. Yes, because we're not embarrassed about Jewish strength. We're not embarrassed about it. We knew how to do exile, and we're proud of that. We also know how to get back into the land and take power. Once again, definitely power, but definitely in honor of the name of God. God bless you, folks, wherever you are. Lots of love, lots of blessings, and shalom.